and I just wanted to have a little chat today about my doll Bow. For those of you who might have watched all of my videos, this might be a bit redundant because I'm just going to be talking about Bow and you may know all this. But for those of you who haven't, this might be a little briefer get to know Bow and my doll and where I'm at with her and that sort of thing without having to go back through all the ancient videos. So okay, this is Bow. Bow is my only doll. Bow is my first doll. I've had her for about a year and she is an Iplehouse KID Lonnie sculpt. And the KIDs were released only not that long ago, about a year ago, which is when I ordered her. The first two sculpts that were released were the Lonnie and the Joy, and I ordered her in that first ordering period where they came with a limited outfit, and I ordered that outfit as well. And I also actually ordered the boy limited outfit as well, which I have and is still unopened, because I was hoping to maybe get a little boy as well. But her story just sort of didn't go there. In fact, when I first got her, I did know that I wanted to do a story for her and a character and that sort of thing. I knew I wanted more than just, a collector's item. But it just sort of didn't happen. I was really, I think, kind of creatively stifled at the time by worrying about introducing my new hobby to my family and that sort of thing. It just kind of hampered me and I wasn't really sure where to go with her. So I just sort of didn't, and she sort of remained just on my shelf for the better part of a year, and I was like, man, what am I supposed to do? I'm just not enjoying this doll. I've invested quite a lot of money in this doll when you consider the doll and the wig and the limited outfits and all that sort of thing. Even though she is a small doll, it is adding up to be, as much as Nesty by then. So she's a 35cm doll, which is a unusual non-standard size, and I would not recommend that for people who are just jumping into the hobby the way I was. I think I didn't really understand how annoying it would be not being able to have a very large range of clothes for her. I actually thought it might be a good thing. I thought, I don't want to spend all that much money on clothes anyway, so having a limited range will be helpful. Not really, not so much. It actually makes it much trickier because you have such a small range of things to choose from. And I sort of thought that Iplehouse would bring out clothes that I would like, and they really, really, really didn't. I go and look at their clothes from time to time for what they have available in the kid size, and it's just not my taste at all. There are a couple of sets that I like, and then the colors are not what I like, and yeah, just not good. So that was tricky, but I ended up not really spending any money on her or buying her anything because I just hadn't fully accepted the idea of the doll sort of being a hobby and being an ongoing cost, and I was really focusing on trying to keep the costs down because being a mummy as well, I think it does make it a bit hard to sort of spoil yourself. You sort of feel, and being a stay-at-home mummy as well, you kind of feel like your husband's bringing in the money, and not that it's not your money, but it can be harder to spoil yourself. So yeah, I sort of struggled with that for a while, and then not that long ago, sometime this year, I sort of went, you know what, I'm not enjoying this doll, I should either get rid of it, which I really, really didn't want to do, because I do love her, and I did love her even when I wasn't enjoying her, I loved her. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it, I'm going to throw myself right in there, I'm going to get her some stuff and create a character for her. And at that point I tried sewing, and I made her this little bunny hat. And I made her a couple of other things. Like, this is so terrible, it's not funny. Like, so many things fell apart. I didn't know anything apart from tacking and doing a knot when it came to sewing by hand. So it was all trial and error, and it was this was an absolute labour of love, and it was kind of fun, and it's still not finished. I wanted to like embellish it, and I haven't even sewn up the end there. But yeah, sewing by hand takes so long, people. It's really, really, really time consuming. But this, I think this is cute. It's just sort of poorly done, but I still think it's really cute. But yeah, I tried making her stuff to sort of have stuff for her and yet not be spending money on her. And I just realised that that was just too hard, and it just wasn't enjoyable enough. And I would be, you know, sitting there sewing, and I just didn't have the time for that, being a mummy with like, I had my little son running around, and I'd be like, you know, he was getting into needles all the time and stuff, and I don't have a studio of my own, like my own place to go and do that stuff. I'd be doing that, you know, on the couch or something. So yeah, so that didn't really work out, and then I was just like, you know, that's it. I'm going to set myself a sort of monthly dolly budget and be allowed to spend that money on dolls each month, or save it up or whatever, and just not feel guilty about it, like that's my money. I made a whole character and story for Bow. You can check out her backstory video, but just briefly, she's about 5 years old, and she has a really not good relationship with her parents. She was basically a surprise, not really wanted. On top of all of that, she's a real girly girl, and her mum is not. Her mum wanted a boy, and her dad is kind of like that as well. They're really career people. She's raised by nannies that are constantly swapped around, so she really has no one to rely on, and she develops an imaginary friend who becomes completely central to her life, to the point of pretty much taking it over. And she's so imaginative and creative that she really goes into this world with her imaginary friend, who is called Vey, and who basically fills this big brother role in her life. But it's also very confusing for her, because at the same time she has these dreams where she is older and Vey is older, but they're age appropriate, and they have this really naive little girl idea of a romance. And as she grows up, you know, Vey is still sort of there, and eventually he, even though he's just imaginary, he sort of says to her, you know, you need to grow up and have your own relationships, and actually, I guess at this age, at this time she's probably 14 or 15, he's saying, you know, you need to go and be your own person and have your own real relationships, real friendships and boyfriends and that sort of thing. And he'll leave for like a little brief period, but then she can't sort of handle it, and she brings him back, and eventually it gets to the point where she knows that he knows and she knows, because he is her, that the relationship is not healthy, that she's basically having a relationship with herself. And so she decides, well, we're now in the future, you see, and a couple of things have been developed in the future. One thing that has been developing this whole time while Bow is growing up has been the ability to download your thoughts and memories and ideas onto a computer system. So that technology is long and well established, and there has been a new technology developed of creating clones that are not clones. They are sort of fully formed blank canvases, and people are able to sort of create their own sort of people onto these clones. So Bow is given the opportunity eventually to do this with Vey, and to take all her memories of Vey and then transfer them onto a blank clone and sort of create a real life Vey. But this whole process comes with a whole lot of counselling. It's sort of like if you were going to get very extensive plastic surgery or gender reassignment surgery or something. They don't just throw you in there and you do this whole procedure that's going to change your life. There's a lot of counselling involved to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. And, you know, when you do this, they're sort of advising her, you know, you're not going to own this person. You're going to create an actual person. You have always interacted with this person where you've been actually in control of their actions. And now, although although Vey will have the personality that you imagined, and then you can call him Vey, he's going to be his own person. And once he is his own person, you know, he may not even like you. He may not want to be called Vey. He's going to have his whole own finding himself process to go through. So they're advising her all of that, and she's like, okay, that I understand that, that's fine. But that's obviously going to cause significant issues. It's not going to be all like smooth sailing, oh, I created my dream man and now we're going to live happily ever after. No. But there are further complications when they try to extract her memories of Vey. There is some serious malfunction that occurs, and the scientists are like, what? There's something weird going on here. But they managed to do it anyway. They managed to extract, they're having trouble working out exactly what memories do relate to Vey and what don't. But they managed to work it out, and she does end up recreating Vey. And when she brings him home to meet her parents, there are some serious issues that come up. So it's not sort of all resolved on her decision to, or she has this big decision whether she's going to make Vey real or not, that she goes through with the help of counselling. But when she decides that she will do it, that's not, and they lived happily ever after. That's just the start of a whole another chapter of problems for her. So that's kind of it for now. That's just a little bit, so actually if you haven't, even if you have watched all my videos, I just revealed a whole lot more about Beau's story. So hopefully this actually wasn't as redundant as I thought it might be. But anyway, I'm gonna go now. So thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye from Karen and Beau.